What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another video. So I just finished watching Receiver, which is I believe season 2 of the Netflix NFL series. Last season or last year it was quarterback, where it went through the seasons of 4 quarterbacks or 5 quarterbacks, something like that. The only quarterbacks I remember from that season was Kirk Cousins, Patrick Mahomes, and Marcus Mariota. That was it. I don't remember any other ones. I forgot who they were and stuff like that. It's been a year, guys, okay? Like I don't remember in the back of my head. But for this year, for receiver, they have Deebo Samuel, Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, and George Kittle, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. So with that lineup, I honestly think that the last season or quarterback was better because it had more of a dynamic, right? Like it was from a top quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, then you had a pretty good quarterback in Kirk Cousins, and then you had like a backup, like going through the seasons of like a backup, like maybe a starter type of guy in Marcus Mariota, someone that I wouldn't necessarily say has to prove themselves, but definitely somebody that not is a solidified starter as those first 2 guys. But for this year in receiver, it was just strictly star players, which it was cool, right? It was cool to see because they all had different seasons. You had the Raiders, which kind of had a disappointing season. The Vikings had an injury-riddled season, and then you have the Chiefs. Well, not really the Chiefs. I didn't mean to say the Chiefs. That was last year. But you had the 49ers who went all the way to the Super Bowl, and then you have the Detroit Lions, which lost in the conference championship to the 49ers. So it's cool to see like 2 teams play each other, right? That was really cool. But for the most part, I really enjoyed this, man. It was, in my opinion, I would probably give it the same rating as the first one, but I would say the first one has the slight edge because, again, of that different dynamic where it had the really great player, the good player, and then like the I wouldn't say like a bad player, but the player that's not as good as the first 2. But for this one, it's just all strictly star guys, which was cool. And it's like the same thing, man. It goes through the entire season. It goes through what they do behind the scenes, right? But one thing I wish more from this series is not only a better soundtrack. I feel like the soundtrack is very bland and very boring, but I also see a little bit more of the practices and like the film analysis and stuff like that. Just a little bit more about the game of football rather than like the behind the scenes stuff. The behind the scenes stuff is cool, and I would still like to see that, but a little bit less of that and more of like football stuff, But I feel like this show is definitely meant for everybody to watch, not just football fans. Like football fans will find enjoyment in this, but I could see the audience being just general people that are interested in sports and stuff like that and want to see what it's like to be a huge sports person and to be a professional football player, professional NFL player, which it gives a different perspective as you usually see a bunch of these guys just go out there, play football, call it a day, but seeing them come home to families and seeing them come home after losses and how they deal with it and stuff like that and how they cope with losses and how they kind of learn from it, bounce back from it, and how they do like some deals and promos and just like their daily lives behind the scenes throughout the entire season. It's pretty cool, man. And I like how the end of these like series, it kind of shows like, okay, some announcements like this is coming next and all of this and that. It didn't really give any teasers. Same thing as quarterback. It didn't really give any teasers or like hints on what's to come next. Like if it's going to be running backs, tight ends, defensive players. If I had to put my money, if I had a bet, I'm guessing next season is going to be cornerbacks. I don't know what it is. I have a feeling that the next season is going to be defensive backs. So we'll probably have like Sauce Gardner, Jair Alexander, right? Like those guys be the next year. I would love to see like Sauce Gardner, bro, in like this cornerback show. That would be so sick if they do like another season of cornerbacks. But for running backs and tight ends, I would love to, if they go that direction with running backs and tight ends, I would love to see my favorite team, Cardinals players there. So for example, running back, I'd like to see James Conner, and then for tight ends, I would love to see like a Trey McBride, like those 2 guys from Cardinals. Like I would like to see behind the scenes of the Cardinals season and stuff like that. Or maybe they even put a spin on it next year. There's just so much ideas to do, right? Like with this, you could do O-line, that'd be pretty interesting. Defensive line, middle linebackers, safeties. You could do rookies, like 1 year just do rookies. So I feel like this Netflix series is definitely going to continue as it's pretty popular, I would say. And it's just, as again, cool to see, man. Like one of my favorite parts about some parts about the receiver was how Devontae Adams was like really pissed, about Jimmy Garoppolo and stuff like that. I found that pretty funny. And then you have Justin Jefferson just going through that hamstring injury and just seeing the players like mindset as well and how much they love the game of football. It's pretty admirable to say as they play through so much injuries. Like I didn't even know that all these players had these injuries. Like for example, Amon-Ra St. Brown early in the season tore his oblique, but we never heard anything about that and he just kept on playing, which just shows the players' love for the game of football and being a professional sports player. Like like NFL, NBA, there's a reason why they get paid the millions, because it is not an easy job, man. Your body gets beat up all the time, right? Like, you generally got to love the game to be a professional sports player. And those guys that are at the top of the league, they love the game, which shows that for anything, like anything you want to do, man, you have to love the game to be at the top. And so that's what I'm trying to do, man. I'm trying to be at the top, man. And I just love the game of making YouTube videos. But anyways, man, talking about this receiver, it was really good, really fun to watch. Even like if you're a non-football fan, I feel like you'll still find enjoyment in this. It's kind of like a reality show at the end of the day, man, which is pretty interesting. It's pretty cool, don't get me wrong. But as I said earlier, I would love to see more of like football aspect of things, and seeing more of like the players and like the game plan and stuff like that. It's cool to see, like, you know, people like their backgrounds, like Amon-Ra St. Brown, for example. I didn't know he spoke any type of German. I didn't know he had a German mom and stuff like that. I didn't even know that. So that was cool to learn. And just learning like the background of these guys was really cool. And it's like the same thing for the quarterbacks, because Marcus Mariota, he's like Hawaiian, and they talked about his Hawaiian background, which was cool, right? Like, it's so cool to see this. And so I hope they build off of this, man. I hope that for next season we get a little bit more football stuff, or for the next year, I don't know what's going to be next, but I hope we get a little bit more of the football stuff. I hope we get a little bit of a better soundtrack and more of like a variety of players. Like, get like fan favorite players that are not necessarily like top of the league, because this year was like top of the league. And also George Kittle, you know, it's cool and all, but two Niners players, like I wasn't really a too huge of a fan with that either. Like, we didn't have to get two Niners players, you know. Like, you could have got maybe somebody else to be the receiver, maybe like Hollywood Brown. Okay, not Hollywood Brown, that wouldn't make sense. If we're going for like really star guys, maybe like a Jamar Chase, right? Like, dealing with the Joe Burrow situation, you could get like a Jamar Chase. A Puka Nacua would have been, well, Puka Nacua was a rookie, so I can't really say that. Maybe like a DK Metcalf, right? Like, somebody like that I feel like would have been a better replacement for George Kittle. Which, listen, George Kittle's cool and all, but you could have saved him for the tight ends. Imagine that lineup of next year for tight ends. We could have had Travis Kelce, let's say if it was next year, Travis Kelce, George Kittle, Sam Laporta. Like, bro, that would have been sick. Like a Trey McBride, and then the fifth guy be, I don't even know, some cool tight end, right? So that would have been cool to see, man. But with that being said, man, that's really all I really have to say about this receiver show. It's pretty fun, pretty entertaining, and I feel like no matter if you're a football fan or not, you will find enjoyment in this show, which just shows that the producers and everything, like, they know what they're doing, right? And it's pretty surprising to see that Peyton Manning created this. So shout out to Peyton Manning for creating this, man. Just really fun, really enjoyable. And if I was to rate receiver out of 10, I'm probably giving it like a solid 7 out of 10, man. It's fun, it's enjoyable. Sometimes it has little dry moments, but it's overall good pacing. Like, it's just your normal, pretty enjoyable, you know, not really documentary, but more of like a behind the scenes, like a reality TV show of 5 football players that play a specific position and what goes on with it. So you will find enjoyment. It's cool, it's fun, and I feel like 6 out of, wait, did I say 6? I said 6 or 7 out of 10. One of those two. No, I would say a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 is a great rating for this show. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed today's video, drop a like and subscribe if you're brand new. Follow all my socials and everything like that down in the description, man. We're gonna be going crazy. School's coming up tomorrow, so you know, I'm gonna still pop out the uploads, but it's definitely gonna be a little bit more tough, you know, with that. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.